So, good day to you. Long time since I did a vlog. Keep meaning to do one, but every time I go out for a ride, I get rather wrapped up in the ride and forget to speak. And my impression is that just filming a ride really isn't, particularly in countryside like this, where all you can see really are the hedges, the hedgerows lining the road. Filming a ride of itself isn't particularly interesting for anyone else apart from the rider. Every ride is interesting to the rider. So I've spared you those. It's a funny thing, I had expected to get out more and do more of these vlogs because I work for myself and I work at home. And so in principle I should have all the time in the world to do it. In practice, of course, when you work for yourself, you live with the constant tension of not being there when the client needs you. And consequently I tend never during working days to stray too far from my laptop. And as is always the case, sod's law, as soon as the weather improves, for some reason, so does the size of my inbox. People getting ready to go on holiday, clients wanting to get something done before people disappear off with their kids during the school vacations. And so that's good news from my point of view, because again, as a self-employed person, you're always paranoid that you might find yourself without work. This is the local reservoir that provides the drinking water. They're just spending about £15 million at the moment extending it. Interesting thing, this is a very small water company. It sits in a pocket, in two pockets in fact, one in Essex, one in Suffolk. And in all the time that I've lived down here, which is getting on now for what, 16 years, they've never once put a hose pipe ban in place. They've never once been short of water. They've mooted the possibility, particularly last year when we were going through, initially anyway, the early part of the year, what seemed to be a never-ending dry spell. They've never actually had to do it. So I was wondering how a small company managed to do seemingly so much better than its much bigger neighbour, albeit that it's not got the same population to serve, obviously, and much of its terrain is rural. And I realised for the first time that it's actually owned by another water company. It's owned by another relatively small water company that serves the far northeast of England, Northumbrian water. So I thought, well, they can't be wielding that much in the way of capital reserves, more than Essex and Suffolk here. But I looked it up, and Northumbrian water is owned by a Chinese, wholly owned by a Chinese consortium. So this investment is being funded by Chinese money, which is an interesting development. Certainly when I was a kid, if someone said to me, much of the infrastructure of your company or your country, or much of the funding of it may depend upon countries overseas, I'd have been very surprised indeed. Because as a kid, we were still basking in the afterglow of empire, and still thought that British engineering was amongst the best in the world, and so on and so forth. But if somebody had said to me it would be Chinese money, I think I would have laughed at them. So there we are, the world changes. Well, at least someone's investing. Yeah, poor old Contour. When I first started looking at headcams and following people like Svengali on YouTube, who did a lot of reviews of these things as they came out. Contour and GoPro seemed to be neck and neck. They were the big boys in this game. And it's therefore something of a shock to hear that, for the time being anyway, they've closed their doors, that they seem to be in financial difficulty. And it's a great shame, because I actually think the Contour format, I'm not talking necessarily about the electronics inside the case, but the format, it seems to me, is ideal for, certainly for motovlogging, and is also ideal for a bit of modding. I wouldn't know how to go about, for instance, fitting a lens filter adapter to say a drift, although maybe there's a way, perhaps someone will tell me. And I was reading through the links that Navy Tom had put up. I can't remember the name of the online newspaper, geek.com, something like that. But I was reading part of a blog of one of the founders and of Contour, and he was basically saying that whenever Contour thought they were technologically ahead, they always knew they were behind, because they just didn't have the money to throw at it that GoPro seemed to have. And I was reading that GoPro had a recent investment in the last 12 months of about 200 million into an enterprise that seems to now be valued at around $2.25 billion, whereas the most, so it was being reported, the biggest capital input that Contour had enjoyed was about 16 million. And there is something about being second that seems to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. It does seem to be very difficult to move back. Look at that gravel there. Bloody hell. There does seem to be something about falling into second place that can then be a world of pain and money to climb out of once the competition gets ahead. I mean, as I read commentary on particularly on YouTube about the merits and demerits of the various cameras when people do reviews, GoPro seems to have acquired a following much as Apple has, and as a latecomer to Apple products and a reluctant comer to Apple products, I still wonder what all the fuss is about. Yeah, they're a nice looking product. They use a different operating system to Windows, which can be a royal pain in the arse. But at the end of the day, I'm not finding the hardware any more, certainly noticeably more reliable than the Dells and the Toshibas and all the others I've had over the years. So what's it telling me? I can't turn left? Don't think it is it? So we're going to go left anyway. So, from Len Scapoff, be thoughtful out there, because if you're not thoughtful, you'd better be lucky. Be seeing you.